Hey everybody, welcome back to You Are Free TV. It is Thursday, January 18th, 2024. I'm so glad to be back with you here on the channel. I want to thank you so much for supporting the channel. I want to say thank you to F from Switzerland for supporting the channel, and everybody. As you're seeing, I'm being able to do more videos this week, getting support, and getting your support is what makes me be able to do more videos. So thank you so much. I want to start here with my disclaimer. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is protected by the United States Constitution protecting free speech, as well as the Sullivan Act and reporting. It is not intended to bully or harass anyone, never to incite violence or hatred or lawlessness of any kind. It doesn't give legal, medical, or financial advice, and therefore the disclaimers in the description below. And so we have a ton of news here today. We, of course, yesterday, as I said, we had that big win with the New York Stock Exchange removing its bid to get natural asset corporations listed on the SEC. So that's huge. You did that. You did that. Okay. It was the pushback, the fight back that made that happen. And so we're so thrilled about it. But we have to keep fighting because, of course, today, what did we have? We had 107 rhinos go ahead and vote to push through the CR, right? The CR, the continuing resolution, Langford and Schumer, their resolution, which will literally just increase the spending, basically just keep the spending at monumental, like you're running against a brick wall in the trillions, Pelosi style. That passed through our criminal Congress, and you have to go and object to this. And so I'm going to jump into that in a second, because people tried to call today, massive amounts of callers trying to get in there into our Congress to push their members to not vote for this CR, this continuing resolution to fund our criminal Congress, as you know, to fund our nation in this criminal Congress run way. And of course, what we get is, well, they're allowed to have 5,000 illegals come in per day. That's not even regulated in the CR. It is a catastrophe. And so we need to turf our Congress members who voted for it. We have to vacate the chair for Bible McCarthy, who is Mike Johnson. We have to get these people out. And so, but let's jump in. I'll just get started here. Thank you so much again for supporting the channel. So I want to just say to everybody, I always talk about action on this channel. And now with this CR going through and everything going through, it's time to go to precinctstrategies.com, precinctstrategies.com, and get involved, become a committee member, become somebody who can help dealing with every county, one county at a time, to make sure that we're going to get all paper ballots, all the same day voting and counted in the same day, county by county, the lindellplan.com. But also you need to understand that Illinois, where the DNC is going to be held, and we still wonder, is that going to be Michelle Obama? They pull out the Chicagoan base there in Chicago where the Democratic National Convention is going to be held. Well, Illinois is now trying to pass an all mail-in ballot voting. They do that in Oregon, a couple other states, where all the voting is done by mail-in ballots. Total ripe for absolute, complete election steal there. And so we want to fight Illinois on that. But the biggest thing is going county by county, you being involved in your county to stop the steal of this next election in 2024. And so let's move on here. We're going to get into, let's get more into what happened on the House floor today. We had, of course, Chip Roy. He's compromised in my opinion because he's a DeSantis supporter, but he ripped them a new one on the floor today in the Appropriations Committee, and this thing for this vote that got a continuing resolution to keep funding our criminal Congress. They just need more time to steal as much from us as they can and to literally create World War III, get all of it funded. Now they've got another 4 weeks. It's going to go into months. And this is what we need to understand. So Chip Roy today, he did rip them a new one. They were literally on the House floor saying, Could you not speak for 20 minutes? We got to go catch planes to get out of this snowstorm in DC. Literally, DC continuously has snowstorms. Suddenly, it's so funny, all these people who want to fight climate change don't like when the climate is normal. They don't like when there's snow. They don't like when there's normal winter, okay, in places where winter happens. And so they were ripping on Chip Roy for even wanting to give a 20-minute speech about why it's so disgusting that they are passing this continued resolution. And he basically said, stay here and do your job, complaining they can't get away for their 4-day vacation. You think of the Iowans that went out in the minus 17-degree weather on Monday on the caucus. You think of those people versus our Congress, right? That's all we need to know right there. And I think you can kind of get the, today on the actual, go to billblasterapp.org, okay? Because you want to catch them, straight up through their social media and their emails and their phone calls direct to them, and that's one way to get it. Because today they basically jammed up the House call in 202-225-3121. Feel free to do it every single day to complain about what's going on, but they jammed it up all day. It was Muzak all day at the Congress call-in line. And so that's what I want to say. We can look at a few things. I'm going to get into a lot of stuff here. We're going to talk about deuterium poisoning. That's something I only learned about just literally today, and I did a bunch of digging and research because it has everything to do with poisoning us, and it's part of what I think is being aerosolized in tritanium. And so we're going to get into that. We're going to get into a bunch of things, but I want to cover the planned exercises by NATO that is escalating World War III. That vote on the floor covers so much funding for things that are going to contribute to that. We're going to get into that. But I want to talk about, the president of Argentina, Milei, who went and trolled Davos hugely this year and basically got up there, Trump style, back from 2017, I think it was, when he went to Davos and basically said, our nations should be America first, every nation first. Every nation should look out for itself. And Milei went and did the same thing at Davos this week. And what he had to say is that the world is spending itself into globalized socialism. He said, we've seen it in Argentina, full bore. We saw how socialism killed our country, stole all our resources. And basically he said, we're going to basically lead the First Nations into poverty and fascist control if we don't go for supporting free markets, which he is doing in Argentina. He's very much following the Bukele model, and Bukele out of El Salvador, who is doing incredible stuff. He's locked up all of the cartel members, creating full economic opportunity there. He's hugely into Bitcoin, very much mining Bitcoin, using every resource they have there to do that. But I want to just point that figure there at Milei, because they did in Argentina. What did they do? They did one-day ballot, in-person voting, hand counted, right? And that's what we need every single person in this audience to get involved with. And so let's get into this war situation, because one of the things they want to fund, of course, is what's going on with these NATO exercises. And that's coming up very shortly. We've got the NATO exercises are going to start in Eastern Europe. And this is all about, we saw Zelensky basically begging for money, begging for soldiers, threatening. Okay, but he's being turfed out. Like Zelensky, they might martyr Zelensky, they might WEF him, I don't like to call it gonzo him, however they killed Gonzo Lira, right? They might take out Zelensky for entertainment purposes only, because martyring him, they want his foreign minister to take over. The people have spoken, but the they want to gin up this. They need to keep the war going. They want the war to keep going, and they're putting out. I talked about it yesterday or the day before. The Alliance Defense 2025, and these are the leaked documents to build. But it's growing, and it's remember Milley, General Mark Milley. He's there in Ukraine. Excuse me, in Davos this week. They're planning what they can do to get World War III going and create as much money as they can before the collapse, before the Build Back Babylon Better. They need to destroy as much as possible, make as much money as possible in order to then build back better through their transhumanist agenda. But really it is a fascist biotech and technological agenda to prevent humanity from having any freedoms at all. But let's look into it. So NATO is now putting out they're launching their largest exercise in Europe ever, monetary wise, 90,000 troops to engage in this war exercise of war with Russia. And so they're doing this. Reuters reported that they plan to use part of this exercise is that USA troops will be brought in as reinforcements, and they are being deployed to practice in this war game, Alliance Defense 2025. Poland will be the staging ground, and as they said in their papers, they're going after Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. As I talked about before, Estonia is a fully complete, an entire cyber nation. Okay, you're an e-citizen. Everything is done. So when they talk about doing cyber warfare exercises, Estonia will likely be hit quickly in their cyber or cyber polygon, or you can call it a polycrises rollout that they're doing. So they're doing these 90,000 troops, okay, in an exercise to simulate what will be the outbreak of World War III. And so we have Olaf Scholz, like completely tanking in Germany. He is at his bottom, and he's desperate. He's trying to ban the Alternative for Deutschland party. We of course had the head of that party hit in the head with a bottle, got a brain contusion. They're going after people, and the Bundestag of Germany, the Bundestag that is the one that is the military basically. They just refuse to send missiles to Ukraine. So this is huge. They want their cheap Russian energy back, right? They're like, you killed the pipeline. Like, what's going on? But we'll see. Okay, we have people like Jack Posobiec saying, well, they might split Ukraine in two. This might be their peace deal where we get an east-west Ukraine. And but the major rollout here is really with the WEF or the Cartel Babylon, the trillionaires, is that they want NATO to eventually become what is the military police or the military for the global one world government. And that's what they're going for here. The reason they need a World War III is they need a one world government military. Okay, so it's not like World War I, World War II. We keep increasing the military might, the control over multiple nations, the alliances, all of it. They keep going here, with this United Nations globalist government rollout, and that what they need at the end is a global military. And this is why they need World War III, is because they need a global military. And that's what's going on here. And so what Jack Posobiec and others have also had to say, multiple places, where we're hearing about, the wars in, or the breakout of conflicts in Balochistan. Balochistan, none of us have ever heard of it, but this is, in Pakistan, where there was the coup pretty much led by the CIA, the U.S. and whatever, MI6, whatever, the Mossad, basically Mossad hugely involved here, is that they overthrew the elected government, Bolsonaro style, there in Pakistan last year. And so they get a new president in there. And this is because the Mossad with the CIA has been funding what used to be called Jandala, the radicals, out there, out of Pakistan, conflicting with Iran. And so we're having these strikes happen there in Iran, massive intel operations that are directly across from the Strait of Hormuz, right? The Strait of Hormuz, that's the mouth of the Persian Gulf. That's literally all the oil coming in and out of the Middle East, massive. And so the new separatists there are called Jaish al-Adl, and this is, in Pakistan via Mossad, via Israel. And, this is the army of justice. And again, this, Pakistan has nuclear weapons. They're trying to set off this nuclear war. It gets into the Deuterium thing I'm going to talk about here in a second. But basically that, CIA memos, have leaked about the Mossad for entertainment purposes only, using Jandala, which became Jaish al-Adl, to recruit jihadis versus Iran. And this is like a Sunni extremist versus the Shiite, right? I mean, it's like Islam, right? Like, what the heck? Really? Like this kind of, like in Islam, they have this kind of extreme hatred of each other, and it's a front, it's whatever, but, couldn't we have the Prince of Peace? Don't we have this golden rule? Like, isn't that so much better? I'm just saying, makes sense. And so I'm going to leave that there, but yeah, they're rolling out this World War III with the staging ground in Eastern Europe to have tens of thousands of U.S. soldiers being sent over there, 90,000 soldiers in general, to create war exercises, right? Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland as a staging ground. Okay, and so we go from there. I think I'm going to get into something that really sparked my interest today. Although first I'm going to mention this. Yeah, I know. But we're going to get into, I just want to mention what Darren Beattie is putting out at Revolver News. And we know that he does such great work there, revolver.news, Darren Beattie. I think he's teaming up with Tucker to put this out on a Tucker Carlson, expose. But what we get at revolver.news is that we find out that in the J6 arena, we're still trying to, what happened with that pipe BOMB, right? The pipe BOMB that was planted in front of the DNC quarters there, where Kamala Harris was, and where you had AOC proclaiming that they're coming after her when there was literally still nobody at the Capitol. Well, the reason she was instructed to do that for entertainment purposes only was what is coming out here through Darren Beattie and Revolver News. And what he is saying is that now there's new footage. Thank you, Representative Massey. I wish he was my representative. He's like the best congressman out there, Massey. Well, he has made it happen where we get finally video, let loose to be used. And again, Bible McCarthy, has not let go of the thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of footage of J6, as he promised he would do. Turf him out. It is time to vacate that chair. I'll say that very clearly. And so we've got this through Darren Beattie, the Secret Service detail that was watching, that was supposed to be there for Kamala Harris at the Democratic National Headquarters there in D.C., is implicated hugely in foreknowledge of the J6 Fedsurrection for entertainment purposes only. And so what we see first that came out today earlier was that the actual pipe BOMB was absolutely what is described as an FBI prop that they use in training exercises, that it had the same cap, the same pipe, the same timer. Absolutely looks like a fake prop that they use by the FBI when they're doing training exercises. But then on top of it, what we see is that we had massive foreknowledge of the Secret Service and also DC Police, where you have the person with the backpack who put the BOMB there, puts it under these park benches, and then proceeds to go directly to the first, I think the DC police, maybe first the Secret Service, but they approach the vehicles of the Secret Service and the police, and then they leave, and it's not until 2 minutes later that you have the police coming out. Okay, the little person puts the backpack there with the FBI prop, approaches then the cars, and then walks off, and then 2 minutes later is when you get your police coming to find the supposed pipe BOMB. And so this is getting released. I'll link it below. Revolver.news, Darren Beatty doing the heavy lifting there. Amazing. And thank you, Representative Massey. You are one of the ones trying to save America. Thank you. And so we move on from there. I'm going to get into now what I think is very interesting. We had, I got alerted to this because I was watching InfoWars earlier, and I saw Pastor Rodney Brown. He does the great revival church down in southern Florida. He's the one who resisted the lockdowns, kept the church open every day, outside, all day, massive revival. Revival.com, also River University, if you want to check out becoming a pastor and getting trained in that wonderful work. Well, and also starting the 21st on Sunday is the beginning of their conference, their annual conference. If you want to go and worship, be part of a big revival conference, you could do that as well. But he mentioned something where he travels all over the world, Africa, everywhere, spreading the good news. And what he had said was that he had seen all these reports of what they think is connected with geoengineering to do with something called deuterium in the blood of people. And so I was very curious about this because I am very curious about everything to do with health and how we can block ourselves from what's going on with geoengineering. And so I went in a deep dive today to check this out. And, I think it's very interesting. We get this very interesting situation. Okay, let me jump in. Sorry, to regroup in my own brain. So deuterium is what they call heavy water, okay? And it is out of hydrogen. It's an isotope. And this is where water gets replaced with an extra neutron in hydrogen. And I'm going to get into this. This is about reports of what could be an enormously an enormous part of what's causing such massive illness and sickness in the geoengineering, and also in the water we drink, or in our body producing it, possibly from the jabs. As we know, there was constantly this talk. I don't have it in front of me right now, but in the last few years, there's been talk about how, this canceled electron uptake, the electrons aren't working properly, and that would lead to a major issue with the proton situation in our mitochondria. And so let's just jump in here. So the isotope of hydrogen, which is deuterium, okay, it literally was used originally like back in, I think Norway was the first people to isolate heavy water out of hydrogen. And then they were attacked by the Nazis and grabbed that technology. It was the UK that also got this understood. And what deuterium does is it causes mitochondrial disorders, metabolic disorders, and basically cancer and turbo cancer. It damages the mitochondria and breaks ATP, what are called nanomotors. Basically, it means cellular optimal function. Nanomotors in your mitochondria. Your mitochondria has to spin at a certain rate, which I'll get into, in order to create ATP, to create cellular energy, which is your entire health. Your entire health is cellular energy, and that's why, I'll just throw it in now, but that's why I promote c60evo.com/YAFTV. Use the code YAFTV for 10% off. But the reason I promote this is for this exact thing that I'm talking about. And so let's get into what is deuterium. Why is it being said by Pastor Rodney Brown that on his travels throughout the world, he's been seeing that something coming out from geoengineering that there's all these tests being of high amounts of deuterium in the blood. And it makes a lot of sense for everything we're going through. And so I'm going to jump into, a bit of more of a deep dive here about it right now. And so deuterium replaces normal hydrogen. Okay. Basically, it's protons from hydrogen ions, and it creates an electron depletion, okay, which also comes from the shots. But you get 3D biomolecules altered, okay, malformed. What we get is a situation where the deuterium malforms your molecules. It malforms multiple molecules throughout the body, and it causes everything from hormone disruption, neurotransmitter disruption, cellular receptor disruption, cholesterol interference. Everything we're seeing that connects to things like turbo cancers, metabolic disorders, which is basically what cancer is, the interruption of neurotransmitters, it really hurts the liver. And this is deuterium poisoning. So what is it? What's going on here? Let's get into something about what is deuterium kinetic isotope effect. That's what they call this, the kinetic isotope effect. And this is where you get this heavy water, okay, caused by deuterium poisoning, where your isotopes are malfunctioning. They're malformed, okay, in the body. And so what they say about this is that so what they say is that it causes enzymatic reactions, neurotransmitter release and reuptake disruption, cellular division and repair slow down, and liver metabolism slow down. It also really attacks the lungs. We're going to get into that in a second. It also causes quantum tunneling, putting deuterium throughout the body where it's not supposed to be. So it puts this bogus form of hydrogen into various parts of the body where it should never exist. And basically it's attacking your mitochondria. It's attacking your cellular health. Deuterium is where hydrogen has gone wrong. Okay, it is like the bad boy of hydrogen, where it gets into your cellular function and your DNA and your mitochondria and shuts down normal cell division. So it will slow down cell division and mitosis. It will therefore contribute to the acceleration of cancers and so much more besides. So deuterium replaces hydrogen breaks. Deuterium replacing hydrogen causes the breaks in the nanometers of the mitochondria, which means that your mitochondria don't function correctly and the motors don't function to create the ATP, and everything comes down to cellular health, as I've said below. I know this is a little squarey. Let me see if I can bring it here together. Let's get into a couple things about this. So what we have here is ways to remove deuterium. I'm going to get into that in a second, but I want to talk about a little bit more about it. The reality is that deuterium is created through nuclear science. Okay, they were able to establish this, and they did it in Norway in the 30s. That's why Hitler was so interested. That's why the UK was so interested. And then in the USA, they've been creating it ever since. Go to Hanford, and what they've figured out is that you create heavy water out of hydrogen, then you can basically use its adverse effects for nuclear reactions. And so it was used in nuclear bomb production, But the reality is that if you have deuterium, you don't need enriched uranium. Okay, so all the uranium wars, uranium one here, all of the Ukrainian mafias connected to the stealing of Ukrainium, uranium, that's funny, uranium out of the United States, but you can get it out of the dirty reactors like Chernobyl. The stealing of the dirty uranium is very much connected to being able to use uranium without enriching it. In order to use that, you need deuterium, this heavy water hydrogen, D2O, they call it. It's deuterium oxide is what they call it. And so what we get out of the radioactive form of this is something called tritium. And tritium can be aerosolized. And this is the radioactive component that's created with deuterium. I know it sounded squirrely. I'm trying to get it myself because I just researched this today and I'm going to have to keep on coming back. But what we're seeing and what I was talking about with Pastor Rodney Brown is that he wanted to alert people that whether it's the geoengineering or what, they don't know, that there's a massive blood evidence of there being deuterium in people's bodies. And people can say, oh, that's just, it happens naturally with climate change and whatever on the earth that all the pollutants are collecting. And that's how people are getting this. I don't believe that. I believe people are getting deuterium overloads in their body from geoengineering. And it's going to take me a long while of deep diving here to confirm that and further investigate. But when I saw that Lawrence Livermore Labs has been able to aerosolize tritium, which is the the radioactive component that comes out of deuterium and would deliver a ton of deuterium into the body. Tritium can be aerosolized, and they've been able to capture it and use it as gas in war and nerve gas type agents, tritium, and that it can be aerosolized. And Lawrence Livermore Labs out of Berkeley, California, hidden in the hills, super connected to Jack Parsons' lab or JPL, all the rocket science, all of it. They have been able to aerosolize tritium, which is the radioactive form of deuterium, for quite a long time. And so it impairs mitosis, it stops cell division, and metal tridides would be called hafnium tridide. Okay, and these can be put in aerosols, okay, can be geoengineered, can be released in the atmosphere. And again, deuterium literally can obliterate your mitochondrial health. And it's one of the reasons, again, why I support C60 Evo, because this is what gets into your mitochondria and cleans out all the garbage. Okay, it cleans out the garbage right straight in through your mitochondria. And this is where we need to understand, we need to get this crap out of our bodies, because this, I think, is one of maybe the hidden, coming up to be known toxins and biowarfare assaults against us, this deuterium. And so the metal tritides that come out of tritium, which is a radioactive form that comes out of deuterium, able to be aerosolized, is long-term irradiation of the lungs, okay? It lodges in the lungs, okay? It has a mega dose of deuterium in it, the metal tritides of tritium. And that might be kind of the corner point of what I'm saying in this video. Metal tritides of tritium, which is made from a radioactive nuclear, basically the waste products of nuclear production, is tritium and metal tritides. And they have a megadose of deuterium in them, which is polluting our bodies. And so we're going to talk about how do we get it out in a second, big time. But we need to understand that this is long-term irradiation of the lungs, leads to the turbo lung cancers that we've been seeing, which, is it the shots? Is it this? Is it that? Well, could it be a radioactive isotope that's in your lungs? Yeah, it could be, because it can be aerosolized. And we know that they're literally aerosolizing everything they can for entertainment purposes only to take us out. So what are the solutions to getting, and this is massively, deuterium, without the tritides, the metal tritides and the tritium, all of it is also, it's very dangerous no matter what. And it accelerates cancer, it accelerates mitochondrial disease, metabolic disorders hugely, and you can get it out. And there's been many people talking about this, and I'm going to link, I think with this video, I'm just going to link one great, I'm going to link a few, but one great article below that gives you the whole full bore on where you can find things like DDW, which is deuterium depleted water. Because what's happening is the water is getting poisoned with deuterium, and our bodies are creating more deuterium with our awful diets and all the chemicals and the glyphosates, etc. And so let's get into that. So deuterium poisoning, when we look at how to get rid of it and how our mitochondrial health is dependent on having ATP cellular energy production, we have trillions of mitochondria in our body. Again, C60 Evo gets straight in there and gets into every single mitochondria, crosses the blood-brain barrier, all of it, to help clean it out. But what we need is to get in there and stop the deuterium from replacing hydrogen in the nanometers of the mitochondria. That's what it does. That's what heavy water does. It replaces natural, normal, healthy hydrogen by an added neutron, okay? And it basically then it does the opposite of what hydrogen's supposed to do in the body. So we need to take it out. And there you can find out what your deuterium poisoning levels are going to a determinator test. And you can find that out with your local naturopath or physician. A determinator test. You should never have over 130 parts per million in your body, but it turns out we're getting record levels being seen out there, and so you need to take it out. So what are some ways to take it out? Basically, intermittent fasting is really good. There's also this situation of buying online things that are determined to be deuterium depleted water, and this is DDW. I'll link it below, where you can do this. And people who have cancer or have rapid moving mitochondrial diseases, I would say all diseases are cellular diseases in their base. If you have the lung cancer, you have these turbo cancers, you need to get the deuterium out, because what it's doing is it is blocking mitosis. It is basically supporting your cells not dividing and dying, keeping that ongoing living cancer cells going in the body. And so the ways that I read to fight this, of course, is the intermittent fasting. The intermittent fasting basically gets you burning fat instead of glucose to feel, you fuel your body with fat instead of glucose. So it's really great for people, with diabetes, all of it. But for every kilogram of fat we burn, our body creates, so if you're burning fat instead of glucose, you're on a keto diet, you're intermittent fasting, you could do dry fasting where you don't even drink liquids for a number of hours, but that's, for people who really do their research. You don't want to just jump in there if you're already super dehydrated, which is what deuterium does to you. Deuterium dehydrates the body. That's part of it. And when we look at all this hydrogen push by the Biden regime, hydrogen as a new energy, all of this, we have to wonder what they're planning there, because I'm sure some of it is very, very nefarious to do with our health. But So for every kilogram of fat you burn through intermittent fasting, getting on a ketogenic diet, your body creates 1.1 kilogram of metabolic water. Okay, and so if you can create that metabolic water, that is healthy water, not with the poisoned hydrogen in it, that naturally is created by your cells in your body, you can detox the deuterium out of your body. And so the other things that are really important are sleep. Okay, when I talk about C60 Evo, right, I talk about how it uses melatonin and glutathione to capture the crap and take it out of the cells all over the body, out of the mitochondria. Well, you need to sleep and you need melatonin to do it. The best way to do that is supplementing with melatonin, of course, but also you need to sleep in complete darkness. You really need to sleep in complete darkness. I would recommend taking a really high potent B12 supplement before bed. Something to help your methylation process in your brain to shut down, allow the melatonin to do its goods. And also seasonal diets are huge. So there's all this stuff that promotes this retaining of the body of deuterium. And part of it is eating a non-seasonal diet. So you want to eat what grows in your geographical area at the time of year. So whether that is you only eat meat because you live in the cold, like the Inuits in Alaska do, or you eat in the winter only the crops that would have been saved from the harvest that lasts throughout the winter. Things like winter squashes, potatoes, this kind of thing. But mostly you want to keep it ketogenic, and I recommend a high meat diet because all of the other diets are promoting the body holding on to this deuterium. You also want exposure in cold. If you live in a cold climate, we always say, oh, we're vitamin D deprived. It's awful. I need sunshine. I need a warm climate. Well, no, actually, you have similar effects to what vitamin D does in the body by exposure to cold if you live in a cold environment. And so basically, these are called cold thermogenesis, where it increases mitochondrial activity and liberates fat stores, okay? And this is liberating these fat stores is your metabolic function. Basically, you're out in the cold and your body says, oh, I need to generate this warmth in my body. It releases those fat stores. It creates a huge metabolic process that, makes your hormones function better, makes your brain function better, all of it. And so that's another way. And I would also say that, you can take things like nation iodine. Iodine is really good for helping this process of removing this deuterium. And I would, again, mention C60 Evo, c60evo.com/YIFTV. Use the code YIFTV for 10% off. But the reality is that you can really, really protect yourself about if it's tritium that they're putting in to the atmosphere through nano spraying, through geo-engineering, then you want to kind of go full bore, right? Because they're hitting us. That really is a radioactive isotope that comes out of deuterium. And it could be one of the reasons why there is such a massive uptake of deuterium and present in blood tests, and what's going on, what Pastor Rodney Brown was trying to expose today. And so if that's the case, if they really are hitting us, spraying radioactive, it wouldn't be the first time. They've done it all over. They've Porton down. They've done it. The U.S. has done it. Massive radiation tests. These aren't tests, folks. This is proof of concept. This is the possible geoengineering for entertainment purposes only of radioactive isotopes like tritium into our air, causing a massive uptake of deuterium into our bodies, causing massive poisoning, and escalation of metabolic, mitochondrial diseases, neurological diseases, central nervous system diseases that could be partially what is responsible for what's going on for everybody's massively degenerating health. And so you also have the water there where you can check out the deuterium deleted water. And I'll link all of that below so you can check it out. So I wanted to say that to you. I want you to get to know this term, deuterium, and just kind of get a grok on what's going on with your water supply, what's going on with your geoengineering, and how do you get this out of your body. I know that Mike Adams, I haven't looked at it in a while, but on naturalnews.com, he has another link. I think it's called cesiumsolutions.org or .com. But really, this is about supporting your mitochondria and supporting your fat-burning capacity of your body to keep your metabolism getting this garbage out. And yeah, so I'm going to leave that there. Oh, also oxygen and exercise. So you get your breathing exercises. I like Ujjayi breathing, where you really get the get the cardiovascular system, an aerobic breathing exercise where you really get your cardiovascular system just pumping through with what I'll call Ujjayi breathing. I'll try to link below. It comes out of a yoga exercise, but you need oxygen, and we're all super deprived of it. They're trying to shut it out of our atmosphere. They're trying to deprive us of oxygen in every way. So breathing exercises are really important. And then, of course, exercise. Exercise is monumental. You need to get out there. You need to move around, and you need to really make that part of your conscious effort for your own health as we go ahead and fight Cartel Babylon here. And so I'm going to end it up here with one last thing. That's I'll get back to deuterium, and we'll continue to investigate. Is this being sprayed in the geoengineering? We're going to find out. People are waking up. We're finding out what's going on and what's causing all this turbo cancers, the lung cancer, all of it. We're going to keep finding out. But I did want to mention one last thing. You know, we're rounding up here at Davos. We had Trump, of course, yesterday in New Hampshire saying that 100% USA will never have a CBDC, will never have a central bank digital currency. He very clearly came out and said that they can steal all your money. You'll barely know it's happening until it's too late. He was very clear about this, and this is while Jamie Dimon out of JP Morgan is coming out praising Trump suddenly in his own way, basically saying, don't go after MAGA, that's dumb. We've got to have, he's Epstein's banker, right? So it's all very interesting, but basically saying, that if you keep supporting all this anti-MAGA pejoratives and onslaught in the mainstream media, that it's going to backlash. And in so many words, we get JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon kind of coming up fluffy on Trump and out of Davos. Of course, we had Millet laying them a new one, saying Trump style from 2017 or 18, was it? I think it was 17, where he was at Davos. And Millet is saying, you're not going to create communism across the world. This is the worst thing you can do for humanity, and people will not accept it. And it is the historical blueprint of fascism across the world. And that was Millet out of Argentina. Again, Argentina was able to get him in because they had same-day voting, paper ballots. And so get involved. Go to sovereigntycoalition.org to continue to speak out about what the NACs are going to try to do next. But go to precinctsolutions.com, precinctsolutions.com. Get involved county by county. We need to stop the county takeovers. So you need to get involved where the deep state funded, Alex Soros there at Davos, talking about elections, okay? The 4.2 billion people who have major elections going on this year. We need you to get into precinctstrategies.com, and I will link it below. Precinct strategies, not solutions. Okay, and so I want to mention one thing. I got to go. I think I'm running out of battery. But also at Davos, the last thing I want to mention on Davos, there's so much more to say. The AI thing was super creepy, but maybe I'll talk about it next week. But we get this woman named Jojo Mehta, who runs this organization called Stop Ecocide Now. She was on the Davos panel on climate change, and she appeared to be an elite English woman out of the UK, and basically saying that ecocide needs to be recognized as a serious crime, and that there needs to be new laws enacted, legislation internationally, that will jail and prosecute people creating nature crimes. And this has to do with the collateral damage, she says, of farming, fishing, basically eating, okay? That if you're eating and you can't justify where you got that food, if it didn't come from a NAC, from an NAC, farmed, vertical AI-run bug, company, you might be guilty of a crime if you went and fished for a fish, or you went and farmed on your land, you crazy people. And so she runs something called Stop Ecocide International, Stop Ecocide International, and that is stopecocide.earth. It's nutball, but it's not, because these people are smart, she's smart, and what they're doing is smart, and it's, of course, very connected. I'm sure her funding is connected to the same people doing the natural asset corporations. And so this is on their website. What they say is that we want laws that put the planet first. And they specifically say they're targeting land ownership. Okay, laws that put the planet first, driving the conversation on ecocide law. Ecocide law, right? This is natural asset corporations, big time. To make ecocide crimes, international crimes, right? International crimes. And, remember what I said, they're forming an international military. They are, and it's going to come out of NATO. And one of the very interesting things here I'll leave you with is that Scotland, what they say on their website, is that Scotland is to be the first nation to criminalize ecocide. Well, criminalize Scotland then, because it was Scotland that cut down all their forests, of which there weren't many. They only managed forests where the trees grow like this, right next to each other in tiny, tiny plots. Mowed them all down to bring in the wind farms that don't work, okay? And then they had to go to the United States, to I think it was Tennessee or Kentucky, and buy up, tons and tons and tons and tons of timber to actually heat the homes of the Scottish people. So did they commit ecocide? And what they did by chopping down all their forests and bringing in the wind farms from China into Scotland, which is suddenly the most woke area of the UK, and that this is what we've got with Jojo Mehta in charge of this whole crazy next assault on human freedom. And so, folks, I'm going to leave it there. I know the conversation there on deuterium was a little squirrely, but I'm gonna break it down, get it more understandable for the next time I talk about it in a video, which will be soon. And so I want to thank you so much for watching. This deuterium thing is important. We need to understand how they try to steal electrons with the shots, and then poison us with the deuterium, okay, with the extra proton and neutron there. And it's just a whole metabolic response to what is a poison in our bodies. And part of their genocide, population control, brought to you by Gates for entertainment purposes only. And so we're going to find out what's going on with the geoengineering and what's in there. If you found this video helpful today, it added value, something you might not find elsewhere, I'm enjoying being able to do more videos, and I would love to have your support. You can support the channel below in the links below, any which way you choose. And monthly supporters are hugely appreciated, because it's how I can anticipate how I'm going to be able to do the month forward, etc. And of course, my wonderful sponsors, c60evo.com. I believe that Carbon 60 is one of those things that that comes along when God needs us to find the next thing to fight at the next level, right? To further promote humanity forward. c60evo.com/YAFTV. Use the code YAFTV for 10% off. And 15% off for people who support the channel, plus 2 bottles given away every month of the capsules to celebrate the people who support the channel. And, yeah, if you got something of added value, please support the channel. Okay, thanks so much for watching, folks. We are winning. There's such massive awareness that I haven't seen ever. And I've been literally studying this stuff for 30 plus years, like 35 years, showing my age here. But yeah, it's been a long fight, but we are waking up en masse, and it is making me just thrill to see what the Holy Spirit is putting into people's hearts, into their minds, and into their actions, right? Because God is a verb. We are meant to act on what we get from gospel, what we get from, the direct communication from the Holy Spirit that comes through you when you ask for it, and you ask to be an instrument for the Prince of Peace. So I recommend that for everyone watching. And prayer waves all around. Continue praying for everything you want, picturing the future, knowing what you desire. And of course, God has the plan for what that will be. But your active free will projection is a great way to get your priorities in order and ways to take action in order, because you all have skills that can allow you to be operating in the way you want to be, in the way you naturally are inclined to be, but maybe you haven't started yet. Ask for the Holy Spirit to help and get out and take that first step, second step, precinctstrategies.com. This sort of thing, county by county, we can take back this nation from the globalist cartel Babylon. You are free. See you next time.